Imagine your entire digital life as a house. One room contains your music, another holds your films and television shows. One room stores years of photographs, another is filled with your games, software, saved projects, and work. It looks like your house. You chose what went inside it. You spent years filling every room. You organized the shelves, decorated the walls, and became comfortable enough to stop thinking about how any of it worked. But there is one problem. You do not own the keys. Spotify controls one door, Netflix controls another, Apple, Google, Sony, Microsoft, Adobe, Nvidia, and dozens of other companies each control a different lock. Every month, they ask you to pay the rent. Miss enough payments, and the doors begin closing. Your music stops, your films disappear, your cloud storage shrinks, your editing software locks its best tools, your game catalog changes. The digital house is still standing, but suddenly you are outside it, looking through the windows. That is when you realize the house was never really yours. There was a time when buying something usually ended the transaction. You bought an album and listened to it for years. You bought a game, lent it to a friend, sold it later, or found it in a drawer a decade later. You bought software and kept using that version until your computer gave up. It could become old or useless, but it was yours. Now, the product often never arrives. What arrives is access. You do not buy a library of music. You buy permission to enter one. You do not buy a collection of films. You pay for a seat inside a catalog that changes while you are watching it. You do not always buy software. You rent the right to keep opening it. And this shift did not happen because subscriptions are useless. Subscriptions can be brilliant. One payment can unlock more music and films than you could consume. Tools that once cost thousands up front, secure cloud backups, or gaming without expensive hardware. That convenience is real. But so is the trade. When a company sells you something once, the relationship can end. You pay, take the product, and leave. When a company sells you access, the relationship never has to end. You stop being a customer who completed a purchase and become a payment expected to return every month. The goal is no longer only to make the product worth buying. It is to make leaving feel painful. That changes how things are designed. The sign-up button becomes enormous. The cancellation button becomes a treasure hunt. The first month is free. The second month arrives quietly. The price looks small because it is shown monthly, even when the annual cost would make you hesitate. $9 does not feel serious. $12 feels harmless. $6 barely feels like money. But your bank account does not experience them separately. It experiences all of them together. Music, films, storage, software, games, fitness, delivery, apps, and services you forgot you joined. None feels expensive enough to become an emergency, but together they form a second rent payment, hiding inside your life. Recent UK government research estimated around 9.7 million unwanted active subscriptions. Millions were linked to free or discounted trials rolling over, or to automatic renewals, and consumers were estimated to spend about £1.6 billion each year on subscriptions they did not want. That is not simply a market built on satisfaction. Part of it is a market built on inertia. The strangest part is that you can keep paying even when you barely use the service. You do not cancel because you might watch that show next week, return to the gym, or need that app. Your photographs are stored there. Your projects depend on that software. Your family uses the account. The subscription does not need to make you happy every day. It only needs to make leaving feel slightly more uncomfortable than staying. And digital products make this especially powerful because there may be nothing physical left behind when you stop paying. Cancel a magazine subscription and the old magazines remain in your house. Cancel a digital catalog and the catalog can disappear immediately. Stop paying for access, and years of convenience can turn into a blank screen asking you to renew. Gaming shows this transition clearly. GeForce NOW offers something genuinely useful, powerful cloud hardware without requiring an expensive gaming computer. But it also shows how many layers can exist between you and a game. You might own the game through a supported store, yet still pay Nvidia to rent the machine that runs it. Performance and Ultimate memberships currently include 100 hours of premium playtime each month. After that, users can buy more premium hours or continue with basic access until the allowance resets. You may own the game, but you rent the experience around it. PlayStation is moving further toward the same digital future. Sony has announced that physical disc production for newly released PlayStation games will end in January 2028, with new releases moving to digital formats. Games released or scheduled before then are not erased, but the direction is unmistakable. This matters because a physical game gives you options that a controlled digital ecosystem may not. You can sell it, lend it, trade it, buy it used, or keep it after a store changes direction. No monthly catalog decision can remove that disc from your room. A digital future can be faster, cleaner, and more convenient. It can also make you more dependent on the company standing between you and the thing you paid for. And that is the deeper change. We are not simply moving from physical products to digital products. We are moving from possession to permission. Permission can be updated, limited, or bundled into a more expensive tier. It can depend on an internet connection, an account, a supported device, a payment method, and a company deciding the service still makes business sense. The company does not have to be evil for this to become dangerous. It only has to follow the incentive. Ownership gives you control after the sale. Access gives the company control after the sale. If the price increases, you decide whether to pay. If a feature moves to a higher tier, you decide whether to upgrade. If advertising enters the cheaper plan, you accept it or leave. If a catalog removes something you love, you discover that your personal library was actually someone else's inventory. And each individual decision can seem reasonable. One more dollar, one more tier, one more service you cannot easily replace. That is how your digital house becomes more beautiful, while your ownership of it becomes weaker. At first, this may not feel like a serious problem. You still get the song, you still watch the movie, you still play the game, you still use the software. So, why should ownership matter? Because ownership gives you choices that are almost invisible until they disappear. When you own something, you can keep it, even after it stops being profitable for the company that made it. You can use it in ways the seller did not predict. You can repair it, preserve it, sell it, lend it, or simply leave it untouched for years. When you rent access, your choices exist inside boundaries someone else controls. And those boundaries can move. The monthly price can rise. The cheaper plan can gain advertisements. A feature can disappear. A film can leave the catalog. A game can become unavailable. A service can shut down. A product you built into your daily routine can suddenly ask for more money. None of these changes has to destroy your life. That is why the system works so well. Each change is usually small enough to tolerate. One extra payment does not feel worth fighting. One missing film does not justify canceling. One price increase feels annoying but manageable. So you continue. And eventually, the monthly payments stop feeling like individual choices. They become infrastructure. They become the cost of making your phone useful, your television entertaining, your computer productive, and your digital house comfortable. You are no longer deciding whether to buy something. You are deciding which parts of your life you can afford to keep switched on. The solution is not to cancel every subscription and return to shelves filled with discs, boxes, cables, and outdated software. The solution is to understand what you are actually buying. Before subscribing, ask one simple question. What remains if I stop paying? If the answer is nothing, do not treat the payment like a purchase. Treat it like rent. Calculate the annual price, not the monthly one. Rotate entertainment services instead of keeping all of them. Buy what you genuinely want to preserve when ownership is practical. Export important files, keep local backups, and review recurring payments, especially the ones too small to attract attention. Most importantly, notice when convenience becomes dependency. Because the most profitable customer is not the one who buys once. It is the one who keeps paying forever. Your digital house can still be useful. It can still be comfortable. You can enjoy every room inside it. Just remember who owns the keys. Because the future may offer you access to almost everything you could ever want, while quietly leaving you in possession of almost nothing.